Hello world. Today I'm going to talk to you about how we are shifting as we speak into Aquarius territory. And in order for us to understand that, we have to first understand its opposite, Leo. Leo represents the core. It represents the center point of ourselves. And in astrology, there's a symbol for every sign, and the symbol for the sun is a simple point and a circle surrounding it. So the circle surrounding it is a boundary that defines who we are on the outside, to the outside world. And this little spark, this little core, is that little dot. The sun, Leo energy, is about the process of becoming authentic and doing it through the creative feedback loop of exchange between audience and performer. Everybody, no matter what, life is a stage. You are a performer, and your world is the audience. The process to cultivating, finding, or remembering who you are at the core includes going inside of yourself, finding what's real and authentic for you. So you then shape it through a creative process, your outfit, your appearance, your artwork, and you deliver it to the outside audience. You reveal it. You take that reaction from the outside back inside yourself, and you look again for what is authentic. And so this is a feedback loop of creation and attention, which is like sunlight. Life force energy to the core is based on attention. There are phases unique to one's life where this loop can break down. Some people never bother to look inside themselves. It's just how it is. They don't even get started on this process. Other people do look inside themselves. They figure out what is true and authentic, but they don't bring it out into the world. They may be too scared to. Some people bring it out into the world but are met with a crushing response, so much so that they don't ever do it again. Some will learn to select their audience, and these people may end up choosing their audience unwisely based on a certain type of attention that they get. Some people will self-select for an audience of flatterers and yes men, and others can select an audience for themselves filled with critics. Thus, their creativity on both ends is perpetually being crushed, and at that point, they have to light their own fire. The whole point of the sun energy is that your audience in the outside world has to be capable of getting the authentic you. Otherwise, you have to perpetually regenerate yourself, and that can be exhausting. So you take this feedback in, you take the coaching from the outside world, and you rebuild, and it's an ongoing process. And that core part of you ought to snowball effect in this lifetime, and it expands from the light of attention. Now, we all craft an exterior, a mask, a persona. It starts in childhood in our initial conditioning. We encounter our parents or guardians, we mirror their behavior, and then we're taken out into the world of our neighbors and peers, and it seems like everybody wants something from us. So we craft our behavior on survival instinct in what is acceptable on those initial audiences. And we continue to attract people of similar essence that reaffirm this behavior continually throughout life until we become aware of what's happening. Now, if we always continue this loop of reinforcing this behavior from our initial conditioning, it results in a feeling of inauthenticity. And it doesn't matter your age, it is always possible to break out of this loop and press for this process to become true to yourself. Some people choose not to ever get to this point. It's just up to you. The nugget of flame can burn out inside of you, and this barrier on the outside can thicken, this mask or this perceived personality that you display for your audience. And what happens is the distance between yourself and the world grows. The goal of this entire process is to thicken your outer layer, protecting your deepest core, because that's what the outer layer is for. It's a form of protection. But they should ultimately meet in the middle and grow together the older you get. Have you ever hugged somebody that is young and very stiff? Have you ever hugged somebody that is very old and super plush and soft as a pillow? This process can physically manifest in your body. And if you're not aware of that distance between the barrier and your core, you end up turning into physical stone or a flesh suit with no boundaries that gets walked all over. Somebody who considers them a perpetual victim of everything that happens to them. Other people can feel this process on you. They sense it. And knowing who you are and expressing yourself and your true self authentically is paramount to your healing and your growth and your breaking of cycles, as everybody likes to talk about in this lifetime. Nobody else can be you in this moment, in this world. In order to be able to trust this process of becoming authentic, you have to first go inside and learn to trust yourself. And I feel that that is what we on a large scale are learning to do right now. Now that we've understood this process, we have the desire to bring this being out into the world authentically, in new ways as we're sitting at home and reflecting on what our impact is going to be. Since we can't see or hug people like we used to in person, we are all discovering this loop, this process loop, through technology. Who we are as an individual is our personal strength. And what makes us unique in groups is our collective strength. Our uniqueness is the message that we deliver about ourselves, about our knowledge of self. There is an unconventional, eccentric, out-of-the-box thinker, an oddball, and in other words, different aspect in all of us that I think the longer that we sit in these spaces alone, getting to know ourselves, we'll be able to recognize the strength in that. The Leo in all of us wants to identify ourselves in the groups that we are part of with name tags, labels, years of experience, educational background, hall passes, so to speak. Leo energy is the gatekeeper for culture. Boom, you can ruminate on that one. Now there is a giant shift happening. Everybody calls it the official age of Aquarius, where some of the outer planets, 3 of the outer planets in the next 5 years, will be transitioning through the sign of Aquarius. The Aquarius in all of us wants to break free from these labels as much as it wants to use them to identify ourselves in the groups that we're part of. Aquarius is the one to always say, on the contrary, I think this way. You can think that way, but I'm going to think this way. Everyone is on one spectrum, the human spectrum. Equality for all. We demand justice in our political systems for those who are treated as outcasts because we understand there's an outcast within all of us. You can see how this type of attitude has blurred lines, no ego, and rebels against the system set in place. Aquarius energy has absolutely nothing to do with the sun. It has everything to do with Uranus and Saturn, which are cold, hard, distant planets involving everybody. Aquarius strives for new beginnings. It strives for social justice in a reserved, self-protective way. It often delivers its messages with no mercy. Aquarius in and of itself has always and will always represent the progressive approach we choose to take. It represents alternative perspectives coming from a greater place of intelligence, wisdom, and our experience in exercising our problem-solving skills. This is the unbiased, well-researched second opinion that we all have within ourselves. It is the innovative idea, the one that originated in your core, but also went through the process of your mind. It is the teacher within all of us, who is sometimes strict, reserved, adult-like, rigid, detached, and loves from a distance. Above all, as the Aquarius represents the water bearer in us all, it strives to exercise compassion for others, as it has already learned to be self-compassionate. The water could represent emotional mastery, healing as a daily habit, a message of great optimism and expansion of thought, despite its seriously tough way of loving, a message of acceptance of what is truly different about each of us as individuals. It sounds idealistic in nature, and that is the idealistic nature within all of us. The questions that we could be asking ourselves during this time could include, what is it that I am contributing to the bigger picture? Can I accept my own weirdness and my own idealistic nature, can I then accept others' differences? Can we come together in our differences? Can we respect others' choice to label themselves? Can we free ourselves from these labels at the same time? Why do we want these labels? What communities speak to my true higher self? What groups that I'm part of reinforce certain behavior that feels inauthentic? And why does it feel inauthentic? Cheers to you and your cosmic journey. I hope that this helped you understand the moment that we are in right now and how you as an individual can apply it. Peace and love.